I'm incredibly grateful for my father. I'm probably most grateful for his determination to face immense challenges that nobody would ever want to face, and make the absolute most of them. I think we all benefited from each achievement and the example that they set for us. About 46 to 50 years ago, he needed to earn a scholarship to one of the most prestigious universities in the world, the University of Notre Dame. He did. To use that scholarship, he had to move away from everything and everyone he had ever known. The airplane lost his luggage, so he wasn't even familiar with his underwear. At Notre Dame, he met another great person that I think you all know, my mother Mary. They began a relationship, several years passed by, yada yada yada, and then my father was accepting the challenge of becoming a parent. And you're all free to judge how successful he was at that. 27 years ago, he was enjoying life and teaching a friend about one of his favorite hobbies when he suffered a jet ski accident that left him paraplegic for the rest of his life. He accepted the challenge to maintain his autonomy and proceeded to have a long and successful career in spite of this, and maintain his independence until the very end. I'm also grateful for everything he invested in me. He is easily responsible for my career, all of my hobbies, and for most of my views on life. A few lessons were: you can't knock something until you try. Family is the most valuable thing in life, and nobody should be judged by their circumstances, only how they adapt. And every challenge, no matter how large, can be overcome with persistence and excellence. These few lessons, among many more, form a resilience that has carried me through every difficult time in my life, even when I needed a phone call sometimes to remind me. I'm incredibly grateful for your presence here today. I know all of you have personal challenges to overcome just to make it here today. The last one, the water main break at the hotel. Your presence and the endless condolences of those who could not make it is evidence that you left a legacy that almost everyone in his life will miss. When I say almost everyone, there's at least one guy I know who probably wasn't so fond of it. It was a snowy night on January 12th during a quarter beer's happy hour. My father was playing pool with his roommate Ray as his partner, and the wager was a pitcher of beer. They won the game, and the guy refused to pay them. So my dad, ever the diplomat, picked him up by his ankles and shook out his loose change. That must have been quite a hilarious scene, because he heard a very distinctive laugh in the corner of the bar. He had met my mother before, but this moment inspired them to get to know each other more closely, and the rest is history. There are way too many stories to share here today, but I've enjoyed sharing a great deal of them all with you over the last 2 days. He had quite a few values, but I think he summarized them best. One of the first things I found was a list of personal goals that he had written after his accident. And here are some highlights. Under social goals, keep family and loved ones as a top priority. Stay married to marry until death. Have fun whenever possible. Party often. And maintain an outlet for my competitive drive. Under spiritual goals, be ethical and maintain a high standard of integrity and treat others as I wish to be treated. Under intellectual goals, continue to gain insight and wisdom. Be patient, composed, and right all of the time. I guess that explains how he was able to do it. He maintained an eternal gratefulness for the work and sacrifices of his parents and those who helped raise him, like his Aunt Nancy. He was ruthlessly competitive, even when he was vicariously living through others. This man kept a personal record of every Notre Dame and Michigan win, just so he could give some of his friends a little bit of shit when Notre Dame. He was never afraid to show his emotion. He was a practical incarnation of the phrase, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger." He never expressed it this way, but he truly lived the mentality of the happy warrior, to know that the road ahead was long and winding, but to plan for that, and face every one of these huge challenges with a hearty laugh and a mind that was light enough to stand on any loose plank. In my own experience, veteran colleagues, I'm blessed to have this to lean on, and this has always been what sticks with it the most. All of these values resulted in a legacy of great achievement and camaraderie. He proudly served on the USS Sturgeon and as a Squadron 4 Operations Officer based in Charleston, South Carolina. After 7 years of active duty service, he was granted an honorable discharge with the rank of lieutenant to help prioritize starting a family and fostering a long career in the industrial waste industry. Retirement as a vice president of Continental Operations in 2020. He was a godfather to countless people, some of whom are here today. He was always devoted to the plan, and it's amazing how prepared he was for any day, including this one. His meticulous file keeping and planning has made this whole process incredibly easy to navigate and allowed us to focus on preparing for this. Spiritually, he did struggle, not with his faith in God, but with the world flaws that accompany any group of people. Towards the end, he was very grateful to receive his final sacrament here in this very church that reminds me of a powerful quote from a movie. He never actually said so, but I think he had made his peace with God. That's from Forrest Gump, which my family will know I've seen a few times. There's been a part of me that has been preparing for this day for way too long. I'm a little prone to catastrophizing things. I don't know where I could have got that from. But that has always given me a foundation for when the catastrophe actually happens. The first 2 days were immensely rough. It feels like there's not a place I can look in this town where I don't have a memory of him picking me up, dropping me off, or staying to enjoy for a while. My last words to my dad were a text on Sunday. I won a couple $100 at a friend's poker game, and let's just say they played a lot like my dad. So all my old checks against him came in handy. I'm going to read the text now. FYI, I played a poker game and represented the Flath game very well. It was the type of game where my fancy poker math wasn't worth much, but the fundamentals around bluffing that you taught me dominated the whole game. And in return, I got a big thumbs up from old voicemail.
Voicemail Flath.
But on the third day, something came over me. This was the day I had planned to begin tackling the finances with my mother. I'm not sure if it's alright to refer to this way in this building, but it's almost like he came down and possessed me with the Spirit to help guide through this. And as most of us here will know, he loved jousting with ornery customer service representatives, so maybe he couldn't resist the opportunity to do it through me one last time. Maybe he was pretty successful at raising me. This has been hard for me, but in reality, I only knew him for 31 years. There's quite a few people here who've known him for twice that long. A lot of people here who've definitely known him for longer than that. I can't wait to share more of our stories tonight. To close, I'm going to share one of the stories about me that my dad shared more than any other towards the end. It always embarrassed me, but now looking back, I think I know why he liked it and what he was hoping I took away. After I finished middle school here at Holy Family, I wanted to go to our local public high school here in Nashville. I felt like I needed a change of pace and a chance to see a glimpse of the real world before I got to college. The only problem was, I hated it at first. I struggled to make friends, often eating lunch alone by the windows. I missed the more intimate connections I had with my teachers here at Holy Family. And after a few weeks, I was asked again to transfer to the nearest Catholic private school to be with all of my old friends again. He flat out refused. He heard me out, but wouldn't let it happen. He was convinced that this is a natural part of life. It doesn't have to be easy. It might even be devastating to me when I look back at that decision, and I knew I had caved so soon. He said, give it another month or two, and we will revisit it. He just asked that I continue to try to find solutions to my problems. Well, I got closer to my teachers as they began to notice my natural tendency to be right all the time. I joined the academic team and made some of the closest friends of my life, where I eventually began to realize my own tendency for leadership. I got to sit at one of the funniest lunch tables in school for the rest of that school year. And I even ended up talking to a pretty cute girl, but that also caused a lot of challenges later on.